Welcome to the SaaS Revolution Show. I'm your host, Alex Theuma, CEO and founder of SaaStock. Delighted today to be joined by Sherrie Fernandez, who is the Vice President of Product Management and User Experience at Globalization Partners. Welcome, Sherrie. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, great to have you on the podcast. Whereabouts are you today, Sherrie?
I live in the greater Boston area, Massachusetts, so just south of the city.
Okay, very cool. I've been to Boston once in, I think it was December, maybe not the best month to come. I wasn't prepared, I don't think. I just remember it being absolutely freezing outside and me wanting to go inside at every opportunity. So I missed, I think, a lot of the city. I was there for a conference at the time, but yeah, very cold in the winter for sure.
You need to come back in the fall. That's the best time to see the city.
Yeah, indeed. It does look very nice in the fall. So maybe I'll look to do that for sure. But yeah, here it's spring in the UK. The sun is shining. Hopefully that comes across in my voice. I'm feeling like in a good mood after 3 weeks of rain and crappy weather. But let's dive into it, Sherrie. You know, let's tell the audience, who is Sherrie Fernandez?
Great. Well, I think first and foremost, I'm a wife, mother, aunt, sister, daughter, and then I'm a product leader second. So I've been working in software for about 25 years. As you mentioned earlier, I'm currently the Global Vice President of Product at GP. I manage both the product management team, product operations, and the user experience team. I've been here just over 2 years, and it's been a really exciting time for me. And prior to that, I spent most of my career, ironically, in HR technology software.
Okay, it makes sense, and probably answers my next question. But in terms of like, why did you join Globalization Partners? Given your background, it seems a logical progression. But what was it about Globalization Partners that kind of attracted you to that? What's the story there as well?
Yeah, it's a really interesting story, actually. Before coming to GP, I was working at a smaller startup in Boston that was creating a two-sided recruitment marketplace using AI. So we were matching recruiters that had successful placements with companies looking to fill roles. I was very happy there. Wasn't really looking for an opportunity, but I was approached by a recruiter, and I always take the call just to see what else is out there, what my worth is in the market. And as I started talking about this particular opportunity with a recruiter, I got really excited for a couple of reasons. One, the mission of the company. So GP's mission is to break down the barriers to global business and enable opportunities for everyone, everywhere in the world. The second reason was it was a female founder. So Nicole Sahin is amazing. She is quite the entrepreneur who started this industry from the ground up, and I loved her story. Also, GP is extremely high growth. I've never seen anything like it before in my career. And I wanted to be a part of this rocket ship that she was building that was going to go to the moon. And so all of that is why I took this opportunity. GP has just this amazing culture, and it allows me to work remotely and provide me with the work-life balance that I was looking for.
These are all great reasons there. And I think, as you said, always take the call. You know, I think even obviously the SaaStock team that are listening to this, you know, take the call, know your worth. I think it's sort of key advice there, and you never know. But yeah, and also on the female founder stuff, so very rare in SaaS. We'll jump into that in a bit, but great to see the rocket ship that's being built as well, and really kind of excited to learn more about some of the secrets there, and why Globalization Partners is such a rocket ship as well. What data, actually, I mean, you kind of mentioned in terms of what Globalization Partners does, but can you give a few more kind of insights? And then what about the data that you can share from the company? We talked about it being a rocket ship, but what makes it so?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So GP is the pioneer and recognized as the leader in the global employment industry by both Nelson Hall and Everest Group. I mentioned Nicole, who is the founder, and we've been in the business for about 10 years, helping thousands of customers build and manage teams around the world, and they do it in a way that they can quickly and compliantly hire folks in over 180 countries. over 180 countries without navigating all the complexities within legal, tax, and HR issues. From a company statistics perspective, we've seen 75% year-over-year growth. We're at 300 million in ARR. We have a 96% customer satisfaction rating. And again, that's thousands of customers in 187 countries. And we're about 1,200 employees all around the world.
These are some pretty great statistics there. 300 million, over 300 million ARR, 75% year-on-year growth. What impact to your growth and I guess to your top line had COVID? Because we saw like a number of similar businesses really accelerate sort of like during that period. Would you say that was a kind of a real big catalyst? I don't know where GP was before COVID and where you were. Well, we now know where you are today. But what would you say the impact of COVID had to GP?
Yeah, so our business model was doing really well before the pandemic, but the pandemic did open up organizations' minds to talent anywhere in the world. We were all working from home for several years, and our efficiency remained at the same as it, if not better than it was when we were in the office. And so this model skyrocketed from the pandemic and continues to as organizations really rethink their global footprint and where they can find talent.
So what are then, I guess, kind of some of the lessons, maybe sort of like 3 lessons from GP's growth over the last 2 years that you can share?
Sure. I think the first is all around getting the technology right. So our team is really focused on innovation, and that's what's driving our success. We listen to our customers, and we've had a lot of new product innovation come out of these conversations with customers, thinking about their global expansion and where they have challenges. So we need to make sure we're listening to the customer, we're innovating on our technology stack, and we're also not building everything ourselves. Globalization Partners really looks at finding the right partners that are going to complement our product suite. We have an extensive partner network with over 400, including ADP, Paychex, and TriNet, where we have really deep integrations with these technologies to help provide the best solutions to our customers.
Makes sense. So listening to your customers, I mean, I love to hear that no matter whether you're just starting out or even if you're at 300 million in ARR, I think just the key of that, I mean, you know, if you want to know where, you know, the pulse of your business and you really kind of, you know, how to grow the business, is speaking to your customers, right, is a big key. And sometimes we take our eye, you know, off that, or certainly some companies do. And I think very much that in the early stage for startups, a lot of the reason that there's such a high failure rate, you know, within startups is they're not speaking to their customers enough, and they're not building something that, you know, the customers actually need and want. So we see that time and again. So it's just lovely to hear that, you know, when you're at 300 million ARR, that you know, part of the keys to your success, you know, is the obvious things. It's speaking to your customers, right?
Yeah, and it's about being flexible, right? Like we set our roadmaps and we have a 3-year plan, but the market changes so quickly in technology. You got to be flexible and be able to adapt as new technology comes out in the market or the dynamics change. For example, who could have predicted the pandemic?
Yeah, no, exactly. And I mean, just on that note, say the sector that you're in has seen, I think, certainly in my mind, a lot of similar players, you know, like come out during the pandemic and surface. They're probably there, like Globalization Partners has been running for 10 years, right? But the pandemic has really kind of accelerated that. But what I've seen is that a couple of your like competitors have not fared so well post-pandemic. One has done really well. I won't mention them, but a couple of them have not done so well. And perhaps they weren't necessarily sort of like ready to adapt to a post-pandemic world. So what was it, do you think, like with you guys, that kind of like helped to adapt not only during the pandemic but to a post-pandemic world? Was it simply like, you know, speaking to the customers and that being a part of it?
I think that's a big part of it, and I think it's about being flexible. So we started out as an employer of record company. But as we started talking to customers and we're watching shifts in the market, we started to introduce some new products based on our customers' feedback. They were struggling not only to onboard that talent globally, but to find that talent. So last year we introduced a new product called GP Recruit, which will not only help them onboard in those countries, taking all the legal complexity out of it and the compliance, but also will help them find that talent through our vast partner network. So when a company's looking to expand into a new country, they may not have those connections with recruiters in that area, or may not know which recruitment firms that they can trust and that will find them the best candidate. So we have a new product offering to help with that. We also have seen a shift in terms of moving from full-time professionals to also hiring contractors. So we've also introduced a new product called GP Contractor to help with all of their global hiring, whether it be a full-time professional or contractor, again, in 180 countries.
You mentioned earlier that your founder is Nicole Sahin, right? And
Yes.
yeah, there are not that many female founder-led SaaS businesses, right? And in the Forbes Cloud 100, I looked, I think the other week, there are only 5 cloud companies that in the Forbes Cloud 100 that are founded or led by women. Why do you think this is? And and with Globalization Partners being female founder-led, what is the impact of that, on your particular business?
Yeah, a couple reasons. First, the technology industry has really historically been male dominated. Women have faced a number of challenges in this field and breaking into this field. There's a lack of role models and mentorship. Women might be less likely to pursue a career in technology or entrepreneurship if they don't see as many successful women in this field. But then I also think there's access to funding. So female entrepreneurs may face challenges securing venture capital and other forms of funding that can make it difficult for them to start a business or even grow to a successful company. And then also on a more personal note, I feel like women face unique challenges in balancing their professional and personal responsibilities, which often can make it more difficult for them to devote the time and energy it takes to really create a startup and grow it into a successful business.
Makes sense. And we previously spoken before about Globalization Partners being, quite the product-led organization. What is it? I mean, because PLG has been around longer than the last sort of couple of years, but really is in vogue, I would say, the last couple of years. What is it that makes Globalization Partners or GP, a product-led organization?
Yeah, I think there's 4 things. First, we're customer-centric. GP places the customer at the center of everything that we do. The company's product development and innovation teams are driven by customer feedback, and we focus on the customer, ensuring we're developing products that are really relevant and useful to the end user. I think it also, it's a product first mindset at GP. We put the product at the center of everything we do. We deliver the highest quality products that meet our customers' needs, and that's what differentiates us a bit from our competitors. We also make data-driven decisions. So GP uses data and analytics to inform our product decisions. The company collects and analyzes data on all customer behavior, market trends, product performance, and really look for those nuggets within that data to help drive our decisions. And then lastly, and probably the most important one, is just continuous improvement. GP is committed to iterating on our products. We're not always going to get it right the first time, and we need to listen to our customers, watch how they're using the product, and use agile methodologies to test, learn, and iterate on our product development cycle.
I guess you've definitely given some instances there and insight what makes you a PLG organization. Given your role, as a VP of product management and user experience, what are some of the examples of PLG that you've I guess specifically been involved in for GP that have really moved the needle of the business that perhaps our audience could learn from?
Yeah, I think without, divulging too much, all of our newer products are designed to be really intuitive and easy to use, providing customers with a self-service experience that encourages them to try the product, adopt the product, and purchase the product. And so we have some products in market that are at maybe a lower price point and don't warrant such a long, arduous sales process. Spending a lot of marketing dollars driving traffic to the website. We want the product to be the front and center and do all the conversion for us. And so that's really been our focus over the last year or so, is making it really simple for customers to find us, to understand what we do, to try out the products, and then convert to happy paying customers.
And so as VP of Product Management, how does your role drive growth within the business? Specifically, again, examples that you can share, day to day, week to week, this specific sort of role, driving the business growth.
Yeah, so any VP of product management plays a really critical role in a business. They're responsible for overseeing the development and the management of the product portfolio. There are a couple of key growth drivers. First is identifying market opportunities. So they can conduct market research, analyze feedback, and work closely with the sales and marketing teams to determine which products are more likely to succeed in the market, and also which products they need to go and create. Once they've identified these opportunities, they're responsible for developing a product roadmap. This is really on the execution side of things. The roadmap should be aligned with the overall company growth strategy and should also take into account the needs of customers, market trends, and also what the competition is doing. The product manager is also responsible for managing the entire product lifecycle, which involves working with cross-functional teams within the organization to not only launch new products, but also figure out what to do with the existing products. Sometimes you have to make that difficult decision about sunsetting a product based on its performance or how it's doing in the market. And then I think that is the most important piece, is around collaborating with other teams. It takes a village to deliver product and to launch new products in the market. Product management is sort of the center of all of that, but has to work really well with the marketing team on how to position the products, with the support team on how to answer the questions, and the sales team as well. How do they position the product in the market? And the product team is right at the center of all of those activities.
Awesome. Let's move into the quickish fire round now, Sherrie. So what one thing has moved the needle the most for you in your career?
Oh, gosh. I would say early on in my career, I was in professional services. So I was a project manager. And a lot of people hear that and they think these roles are very similar. And they do sound similar, project management versus product management, but the responsibilities are very different. So I was working for a small startup that was acquired by a much larger company. And the leadership team tapped me on the shoulder to take on this product role. And at the time, I had no idea what product management was. They said, you have a technical background, you can speak the same language as the engineers, and you're really good with customers. So I took a chance, took a risk, and it was probably the best decision that I've made in my career, being a product leader or growing into being a product leader.
Awesome. What's the best advice you've ever received?
Oh, best advice. I was working with a career coach at one point, and he said to me, Sherrie, perfectionism is an illusion. In fact, I have a little pink sticky on my desk to remind me of that every day. There aren't enough hours in the day, so I'm the type of person that could continue to tweak and tweak and tweak and never really be fully happy with the outcome. So I just keep asking myself day in and day out, is this good enough? Do I need to continue to work on this? Because it's never going to be perfect. Perfectionism is an illusion.
Agree. What is the biggest failure you've made and lesson learned?
Whew. The biggest failure, I would say, is releasing either a product or a feature that the customers don't use. That's really disappointing when you invest so much time and energy in working with the engineering team to release a piece of software and you're really excited about it and then no one uses it. And so what do you learn from that? That just shows how important not only is the execution side of a product manager's job, but it's the discovery up front, working with customers to understand their pain points and making sure that the solution you're putting in place is going to solve those pain points. Doing all that research and user testing up front so that the execution becomes the easy part of it. And when you're done delivering the feature, you work with the product marketing team to launch it and customers readily adopt the feature.
What do you think is the hardest thing about building a startup in 2023?
Ooh, good question. I would say it's the economic uncertainty. Inflation is posing a lot of challenges. Funding has slowed down significantly. I think a lot of startups are also seeing drops in valuations. So these macroeconomic forces are really shaping the world economies. It's partly the pandemic fallout continues. And then I think there's also a perceived talent shortage in certain sectors, in certain geographical locations.
Yeah, no, agree. And what does your daily routine look like?
Oh, well, I wake up early. As soon as I wake up, I pick up my phone, which I know is a bad habit, but I admit I do it. I check my email, I check LinkedIn, I see what's going on in the world. Then I try and take some time to myself, do a Peloton ride, get ready to start the day, and then I wake up my kids. I like to have that quiet time to myself in the morning. But I do like to make sure I sit down with my two girls and have breakfast with them. So I have my coffee, get them on the bus, and then my day starts. And I actually have organized my day so that the very first meeting I have is a stand-up with my engineering counterpart. So we get together daily for a quick 15-minute check-in. What's on tap for the day? What obstacles do we need to move together? And then the rest of the day really varies from day to day, depending on the week. It might be working on slides for a board deck. It might be doing a customer advisory board. It might be working with a PR team. So there's a lot of variety. But I try also to take a break around lunchtime. Maybe go for a walk, put my AirPods in, listen to a podcast. Again, trying to get some of that me and think time in my day. Then I take a break in the afternoon when my kids get home from school, and I start my second job, which is really Ubering them around to all of their various activities. And then depending on the day, I might jump back online to finish out the day if there's certain deliverables that I need to get to. And then if there is any time left, which I know I only have 24 hours in a day, so this doesn't always happen, but I do like to unwind by watching a Netflix show if I can fit it into my schedule.
Sounds like a very busy day. How long do you get to yourself before your kids wake up? I used to try and get up at like 5:30 at least, because my kids would wake up at 7. They're now getting up at like 6:15. So I'm like, oh, my me time is kind of is disappearing a little bit. So I'm struggling with that at the moment. So I don't really want to wake up at 5 a.m. if I don't have to, but I'm losing time here. So what are you doing?
Yeah, the older the kids get, the earlier they get up, the earlier school starts. So I'm the same way. I get up about 5. I am lucky that I'm a morning person. So come 9 o'clock at night, I'm a zombie, but I do try and get up super early and start my day.
Very cool. Similar. I'm a zombie at 9 o'clock, and I don't mean to be rude to my partner, but I think I don't have anything left in me in the tank. Sherrie, thanks so much for being a great guest on the podcast. Where can people find you and Globalization Partners online?
Yeah, so me personally, I'm on LinkedIn and Twitter. You can find me. And then Globalization Partners, our website is www.g-p.com. And we have remote office. We're a remote first company, and we have what we call collaboration spaces, not offices, in Boston, San Diego, and regional hub offices around the world, including Ireland, the UAE, India, Singapore, and Mexico.
Very cool. Well, we look forward to seeing the GP team at SaaStock in Dublin later this year. And thanks so much for being a great guest. And hopefully I'll come to Boston in the fall one day.
Thanks, Alex. This has been great.
Thanks, Sherrie.